Tonight on News 5 Live, will they or won't they send their children back to school? Parents weigh in on the plans to return to hybrid classes. Cancer meds arrive at KHMH. And what is causing the drop in the prison population? Details of these stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
We have been a partner with SMART for over 10 plus years. We have a full SMART plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this SMART service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our SMART service, we pay an average about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to SMART because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
SMART continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
Beep disinfectant spray is certified by a U.S. EPA compliant lab to kill the coronavirus that causes COVID-19. Beep for a happy, healthy home.
newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Wednesday, January 5th. I am Sabrina Daly. A debate is raging on social media about whether or not parents are prepared to send their children back to school on January 10th. The Ministry of Education continues to review and has given the green light to a number of schools to reopen for the semester using a hybrid learning model. That's where some classes are done in person on campus while others are done online. But with the spiking COVID-19 cases, parents are skeptical about this approach. News 5's Dwayne Moody launched a Facebook poll this morning and gathered in-person perspectives in the following report.
Schools are to reopen on January 10th to hybrid learning. But the million-dollar question is whether parents, given the increasing numbers of COVID-19 cases, are prepared to send their children back to school. Social media has been buzzing with activity as thousands have chimed in to give their perspective on the matter. A News 5 poll reflects that the planned hybrid learning by the Ministry of Education has been polarizing or getting mixed reviews. There are those who believe that the distance learning strategy has been working over the past few semesters and support letting this continue given the ongoing pandemic. But then there are those who do not have access to resources for online learning, so they have been lost to the system. There are also those who want children back in the classrooms because it's been 2 years since their little ones have been away.
We all know how serious the effects have been on our students, having been out of the classroom now for close to 2 years. And this is something we've been working toward. This is not a new decision. It's not a rash decision. It's really been very careful and it's taken a while for us to get to this point. Where we are now is moving toward having our schools return for hybrid learning in January.
And although the ministry says it was not a rash decision, when News 5 took to the streets in downtown Belize City, residents going about their daily routine had varied opinions about the reopening of schools. In the case of Christine Lang, the spiking active cases of COVID-19 has her rethinking her plan to send her children back to school in the next few days.
To be honest, I was, yes, but with the cases going above right now, way there, nah, I think so.
Because that they try to say how they can do a hybrid learning, so they send them to school, some to school, and then they do some online, no?
Yes, sir. But I don't know. School may open already, and I still never send them, and I may contemplate this term. But with the cases are rising, I don't think so.
So you would prefer that they just remain online?
Yes, sir.
Does it work for your kids?
It sure did.
But while online learning worked for Lang and her family, Nicolee Flores says that it is different for her boys.
I really want school open back to so the kids they could get an education, because right now the kids just step on the street just to play. I agree with the online, but then majority of the kids are not being in class due to the online classes, due to the device, and some of them don't have access to internet. Different challenges, so I agree that the school's supposed to open back, but with precaution. With a lot of precaution for the kids especially.
First and foremost, I'm a teacher. I don't have any kids, but I have siblings. And yes, I would send them because a lot of the schools had gotten the green light. So it's up to us as the parents to start the precautionary measurement from home and for the school to continue to instill it. So it can be safe if we all follow protocols, because remember, kids lead by examples. So if we, the teachers, and we, the parents, set the right pace, then definitely the kids can follow.
Teacher Kanisha Gomez was among those who say that the mechanism must be tested.
The only way you'll know if the plan will work if you put it to test. So you have to try. We're saying distance learning, hybrid learning, but we won't know if it works unless we put it to test. So we have to try. That's the only way we will know. So I am okay with it.
You got to be concerned because the kids is the number one. The kids are everything for us. We are more worried about the kids more than us. So you got to be concerned, but at the same time, the kids are out of school too long. The kids need to be in school, because the kids of the younger generation and be the future of tomorrow. Those are the ones who's going to be the lawyer, the ministers, so the kids need to be in school.
Whether they feel prepared or not, the safety of children is the overarching principle for everyone.
I always feel it's better being in the school, but right now, my kids' life better off the way how it is right now.
We recognize that, there were instances of COVID in the schools. We recognize that based on those situations that we monitored, that the COVID cases seem to have originated mostly from outside the schools. And what we saw was that within the schools, that procedures and protocols were being followed.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Go to our Facebook page at News 5 Live, where you can join the debate and give your perspective on the reopening of schools. During an interview with Chief Executive Officer Diane Mejia of the Ministry of Education, she told News 5 that children have experienced learning losses over the almost 2 years of distance learning. But how bad is it? She says the educational gap can only be determined when children are back in the classrooms, so that an assessment can be done.
We need to start. We need to, get as many students back as we can. It's the only way for us to begin to try to regain some of the learning loss. It's the only way for teachers to try to get a handle on where their students really are.
Have you guys maybe done a survey or have an idea of the learning gap that has been created as a result of this pandemic?
We can't do that until we get back. Right? We need to be able to physically engage. We need the students to
do that
there
assessment,
so
basically.
The teachers are able to make those assessments. In all fairness, whatever we do right now is not going to be complete. It's not going to be comprehensive.
And then there is the reality that many children have dropped out of school. Since last year, we have been reporting that a number of children have been lost to the system, and for varied reasons. CEO Mejia says that the true amount will only be determined when on-campus in-person classes resume. The Ministry of Education is also looking into the effects that this has had on early childhood development.
We know that we have lost students. Everyone knows that. Every adult recognizes that we have lost, especially our boys. We've lost boys along the way. We've heard students of all ages talk about how they don't like online, they can't handle this, this package thing doesn't work. We know that. What we don't know for sure is exactly how many, because some of them may be enrolled, but they're not participating in distance learning. Some of them may not have enrolled because they don't like the distance learning, but they're saying, when we go back to face-to-face, I'll go back. So the only way for us to really assess the situation is to go back. Because if I say, okay, Dwayne, I have not seen you online, or Dwayne, you have not picked up a package from school for weeks, but now you need to report to school every Monday and Wednesday, and you don't come to school, I now have, I can check where you are. I can go, because now I'm sure that, all right, is this real now that Dwayne has really dropped out? Maybe before Dwayne was just hiding out because he didn't like distance learning, but for one set of students, that's imperative. We have to start so we can know what the preliminary numbers are telling us is that we have tremendous reduction in early childhood enrollment. People are afraid to send their babies to school. It's natural, right? But the only way for us to begin to remedy this is to start.
The staff at KHMH is fighting its own wave of infections. Currently, some 20 staff members at the hospital are out with COVID-19. that number could rapidly increase, which would potentially leave the hospital's operation in limbo. CEO Cancino told us more.
That is one of the greatest concerns we have. We have 40 persons up to yesterday that were tested. I think there was a misunderstanding that they are positive. They are not all positive. We have a little over 20 that were positive up until yesterday. So we have been making adjustments as needed. In some cases, maybe doing 12-hour shifts for a short period of time until they recover and they come back to work. Again, none of them are seriously ill, and so we're hoping and praying for the best. We are enforcing very strictly the protocols within the hospital setting, and discouraging persons from eating together, because that is when the masks come off. And if they do, that they are properly social distanced, or that they take shifts to eat, that no one is letting down their guard. We're doing little patrols in the different departments to make sure that everybody is adhering to the protocols.
While active COVID-19 cases are currently above 2,000, the number of persons admitted to the COVID unit at the KHMH right now is low. As of Tuesday, only 12 persons were admitted, and only 5 of them are actually COVID positive. There are concerns for the unvaccinated, however, because they account for 40% of the total population.
Up to yesterday, we had 12 patients in the COVID unit, 5 that were positive for COVID, and 7 that were persons under investigation awaiting results of their tests. I think it's pretty much a fact that the symptoms of Omicron are milder than Delta, and for now, at this moment, it's translating into the that theory is translating to hospitalizations, because even the patients that we have admitted today, and I say today because, as you know, things can change overnight, are patients that are mildly ill. So we don't have any ventilated patients for COVID at this time, despite the numbers rising. And we haven't had deaths over the past couple of days either. So we're hopeful and we're very optimistic. But of course, we can't let our guards down.
Coming up, Waterloo appeals decision by the Department of Environment. Details when we return.
Digi, the premier name in voice and data, is also the country's leading provider of innovative services and solutions for small business and enterprise. At Digi Business, we offer solutions, tools, and applications to support your business needs. Reduce costs, improve efficiency, and excel in a changing world where no idea is too big and no task is too small. From technology advising to design implementation and management, our team of qualified solution sales and specialists can develop a reliable and robust infrastructure, allowing you to spend more time on what matters most, your business. Visit us online to explore how DigiBusiness innovative products and solutions can help your business reduce costs and improve efficiency.
The Public Utilities Commission hereby notifies the public that on December 10, 2021, BL made a submission reporting an increase in cost of power of $3.82 million for the period ending 31st December 2021. BEL also forecasts an increase of $4.14 million in cost of power between January to June 2022. In accordance with applicable bylaws, the PUC determined that the sum to be recovered amounts to $4.58 million. As a result, the mean electricity rate for the period January to June 2022 should be adjusted from 39.99 cents to 41.58 cents per kilowatt hour. On January 5th, 2022, the PUC issued the final draft for the amendment of Belize Electricity Limited 2021 Annual Review Proceeding Final Decision dated June 23, 2021 to reflect this adjustment. The PUC hereby invites comments on the final draft. The general public should submit written comments by email to info@puc.bz or to PO Box 300, Belize City, Belize. The deadline for submission is January 15th, 2022. The final draft may be viewed in its entirety at the offices of the PUC or on its website at www.puc.bz.
The spirit of Christmas is about humbling ourselves, looking beyond the challenges and differences, and uniting as the family we truly are. As we reflect on the past year, let us be grateful for all that we have endured and look ahead with optimism for the upcoming year. We are thankful for all that we have been able to accomplish during the past year, especially our Vaccination and Wellness Day held in June. It is through your support that these activities are possible and allow us to continue serving you. I encourage you to take the COVID-19 vaccine and urge you to continue taking the necessary precautions to keep yourself and your family safe. We are saddened that for another year, we will not be able to host our annual Christmas event. Make the Christmas catch you in a good mood. It is these opportunities that we look forward to interact with you and engage with you, our clients. However, your health, safety, and wellness comes first. May the spirit of Christmas infuse your life and that of your family and friends with hope, positivity, and joy. From the Board of Directors, management, staff, and agents of R&G Life Insurance, have a blessed and safe Christmas and a fruitful New Year 2022.
In 2018, before I was diagnosed with cervical 4A, stage 4A cancer. First, it was the size of a grapefruit. That's what the doctor told me. The kidney got enlarged. I couldn't do any chemotherapy because of the kidney. So I had to do only radiation. And I did my first session of 25. And then when I finished with the 25 sessions, I went back, she checked it, and she saw 4 centimeters. And I went back for the next 10 days. And after that, when she checked it again, she said, oh, it's like nothing is there. It wasn't painful, but it's a machine that you go under, and you have like a big, like a circular, and that goes 5 times. You'll take 5 minutes. 5 minutes to do the radiation, 1 session. Then you go back the next morning, another session. Well, I personally will highly recommend Galenia Hospital because of its good services, friendly staff, the doctors, very caring. Well, I just want to thank them for everything that they have done for me, you know, the staff and the doctor, especially Dr. Jamie, because she was my doctor for the radiation. No?
An appeal has been lodged by Waterloo Investments Holdings Limited to challenge a decision by the Department of Environment, which has denied environmental clearance for its proposed tourism development project near the Port of Belize. The appeal has been made to Minister of Sustainable Development, Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management, Orlando Habet. Notwithstanding DOE's decision, Waterloo remains convinced that the justifications for refusing environmental clearance are, quote, flawed, legally unsound, and unable to withstand judicial scrutiny, unquote. Waterloo's Chief Executive Officer, Stuart Howard, is on record stating that the company has already invested $10 million Belize dollars in preparatory studies and first-time scientific analysis. He goes on to say, quote, to have denied environmental clearance to this project on the basis of spurious allegations of incomplete information rather than requiring any perceived deficiencies to be addressed is unreasonable and against elementary principles of fairness. We possess the financial capacity and reputation to execute this project and fully intend to significantly upgrade the cargo terminal and build out the cruise terminal as a world-class facility for Belize, unquote. Waterloo has laid out the fundamental bases upon which it is challenging DOE's decision and is looking forward to presenting its case at an early and fair hearing of the appeal scheduled by Minister Habet. In related news, Waterloo has joined an existing suit brought against the Department of the Environment and the National Environmental Appraisal Committee, NEAC, by Port Corral. It joins Port of Magical Belize as an interested party in that matter, which is set to be heard on February 8th, 9th, and 10th. Senior Counsel Godfrey Smith is representing the company. Your next light bill will more than likely be higher than what it was last month, whether or not you dressed your house for the recent Christmas holidays. The Public Utilities Commission, PUC, in a press release issued today, announced that effective this month and running until June, the mean electricity rate, MER for short, should be adjusted from 40 cents to 41 cents per kilowatt hour. The increase comes as a result of a submission that the Belize Electricity Limited made on December 10th, in which it reported that it had paid an additional $3.82 million up to the end of December 2021 in increased costs for power. Further to that, BEL also projected that it will pay $4.14 million more in increased electricity supply between January and June of this year. But the question is, was it really necessary? The PUC shared that from September 1st to the 24th, 2021, quote, there were excessive instances where BEL elected to purchase power from BCOL when the cost of power from CFE in Mexico was significantly lower. The PSU also identified contrary instances in the last week of September 2021 where BEL elected to purchase power from CFE when the cost of purchasing power in the domestic market was significantly lower. The combined effect of the above in the PUC's estimation was that the cost of power to consumers for the month of September 2021 would be $2 million more than it could have been had BEL dispatched using the lowest cost mix of generation plants to meet demand, unquote. The Commission also faults BEL for what it describes as the way BEL continues to, quote, flout the law and intentionally ignores reasonable requests, unquote. Those requests were made for disclosure of supporting invoices for cost of power. The PUC informed that, as it stipulated in the bylaws, BEL should nonetheless recover over $9 million as a result of the increased energy costs. The public is invited to email their written comments to the PUC on its final draft for the amendment to info@duc.bz or to Post Office Box number 300, Belize City. The deadline to submit your comments is January 15th. The PUC announced that their final draft on this matter can be accessed in its entirety at its office at the Marina Towers on Newtown Barracks in Belize City, or on its website at puc.bz. Following COP26 and other efforts to boost Belize's sustainable development, the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Investment announced it has created a climate finance unit. The CFU comes on stream as of January 3rd and is intended to streamline the process for those wishing to access climate financing and assist the government in carrying out sustainable developmental priorities. The unit's many responsibilities include monitoring, reviewing and updating the climate finance strategy of Belize, and acting as a hub for expertise on climate finance to facilitate both government and partnership projects. It will also lead Belize's international climate finance advocacy and networking efforts. A release from the government press office says the CFU, which is within the Ministry of Economic Development, will initially be staffed by a director, an economist, a proposal developmental officer, and an international advocacy and networking officer. Carlos Paul has been appointed director. Leroy Martinez has been brought on as an economist and GCF focal point, and Hunter Hales is a proposal development officer. The Social Security Board and its NHI department has partnered with the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital to provide affordable treatment for cancer patients. SSB invested $150,000 in medication for those battling colon, lung, stomach, breast, and prostate cancers. NHI tendered and procured the medications which were handed over to the hospital's newly established cancer treatment unit this morning. Dr. Ramon Figueroa, General Manager for NHI, explained the procurement process.
Last year, around June, I believe, Dr. Yakab approached the Social Security Board asking if they would be able to purchase a whole gamut and list of medications so that they could then have it here at KHMH and establish a revolving fund for patients. Because as a lot of people know, they're very expensive medications, not very accessible for the majority of the population, and when they can't afford it, extremely expensive. So the Social Security Board asked us at the National Health Insurance to get involved in terms of discussing now the technical aspects of the procurement process. And what we did was then basically bid out the list of medications, got a quotation on the prices, and we were able to get almost the full amount that was being requested by KHMH to a maximum of $150,000, which is what the Social Security Board was willing to invest in this procurement process.
These medications will be available at a lower cost at the hospital because NHI was able to negotiate a discounted price. Chandra Cancino, CEO at KHMH, explained that prior to this purchase, patients were required to pay much higher prices for medication outside the hospital.
As you know, the focus right now, everybody's concerned about COVID and COVID-19 patients, but as we've been consistently saying, we have a large population of persons that have other illnesses, other diseases such as cancer, diabetes, hypertension that need our attention and need our care. And so we recently opened the radiology unit here at the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital, and what had previously happened is persons access the medication from outside and bring it here and we administer it. However, with this new, with this investment and this support from Social Security, we will now have access to the medications here at Carl Huchner, and so the patients can now purchase the medication here at Carl Huchner at a reasonable cost and be able to get the medications here. So it's really I don't think like most illnesses or like most needs, when you become ill, you don't realize the value of health care until you become ill.
Two former Ministry of Health CEOs are now employed at the National Health Insurance Department. Dr. Ramon Figueroa, the General Manager of NHI, was the CEO at Ministry under former UDP Minister Pablo Marin when he was transferred to NHI. While information at the time suggested that Marin and Figueroa had a strained working relationship, Marin denied there being any bad blood. Now, Dr. Daisy Mendez, the former CEO of the Ministry of Health and Wellness under Minister Michelle Shabat, is being transferred to National Health Insurance as head of that unit. While there were also rumors that Mendez and Shabat did not see eye to eye on several issues, Minister Henry Charles Usher asserted that the move was all part of the plan by the Briceño administration. Dr. Ramon Figueroa says NHI needs the expertise.
Look, you can look at it from a different perspective. You can look at it as a problem, or you can look at it as an opportunity. Personally, for me, that was an excellent change. I'm doing what I like, less stressful environment. The CEO position is not an easy position. You have to be able to deal with politics, and you have to be able to deal with the technical issues and human resources. Very stressful, I can tell you by experience. So for me, it was a wonderful change. It was a great change. And now that we have a previous CEO coming over to us, for me, it's an opportunity. Because as you know, we are in the process of planning out the rolling out of National Health Insurance. We are a small unit as it is, and we need all the assistance, all the experience, and all the human resources we can get. And this is somebody who started with us with NHI. Dr. Daisy Mendez actually started with me when I was at NHI. So she knows the NHI, she has the experience.
Like government departments across the nation, the National Health Insurance's budget was reduced at the onset of the pandemic. This no doubt affected the quality of healthcare the most vulnerable population was able to receive. Their budget has since been reinstated, which has led to certain modifications. Dr. Figueroa shared further details about the future of this most important fund.
Remember, every department, every ministry went through some cutbacks. And initially, NHI, well, it was on the news that we had closed down NHI, and that was not true. We had to cut down on some services, but the clinical services and access to people in the areas where NHI is functional was still there. We had to make some minor adjustments. Subsequent to that, our budget was increased back again, and what we have done was modify the way we are implementing. So, for example, in the South, now we contract the ultrasounds for prenatal care, where before it was up to the clinics to do the contracting with whoever was available there at a higher price. So for us, we reduce the price because we contract the provider to provide the ultrasound for prenatal care, and we can monitor the quality. In the North, we're in the process right now of involving the private sector in some of the clinics that were not performing in the past. So for example, in Shunush, we have involved a private sector provider to provide the kind of clinical service for that whole geographic area. So we are redistributing. Our operational cost has not gone up.
After the break, Omicron is taking its toll on healthcare workers. But is it affecting the police department? Find out when we come back. But first, here is a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
Who offers the best mobile experience in Belize? You don't know? Well, the truth is, Digi, our national telecom, of course. Digi has the largest mobile LTE advanced network with over 96% countrywide coverage, offering the fastest mobile LTE data speeds at the most affordable rates with mobile plans that fit your lifestyle. The truth is, only Digi gives the ultimate mobile LTE experience. Visit your nearest Digi store to join the bigger, better network today. Digi, our national telecom. Visit us online at www.livedigi.com.
Child Development Foundation, or CDF as we are popularly known, has been partnering with Social Security Board since 2015. Social Security Board supports our child protection initiatives. They support us to build capacity for teachers and parents to identify the indicators of abuse. In particular, they support our counseling center so that we can provide trauma-focused counseling therapy to children who have been abused. Social Security has also supported our prevention program, the Rise Girls program, to help us to equip young women who are in primary and secondary school to understand more about adolescent development and also to build good self-esteem and to build safe social networks.
Over the past 6 years, we have established a partnership with the Social Security Board. It has assisted us in addressing some of their social welfare needs and health care needs of our older persons, specifically in Belize City, San Ignacio, and Belmopan. We have had the opportunity to do home visits with our geriatrician and physiotherapists. We distribute meals to them. We also have that opportunity to interact with them, to observe them. There are needs that may be identified. If we can address those, we do so.
Social Security has been one of our biggest donors throughout the years, and
The services that they provide to us is basically financial, and it helps with a lot of things here at the center, like bills and groceries. The center is a drop-in center for the mentally ill, elderly, homeless, deportees. They come here, they take a shower, they get their breakfast, they get their lunch, and they also do recreational stuff here at the center. They can watch television, they listen to music, they play games, and they just, interact with each other, because here it's like a family.
Electricity is an essential part of our daily lives. We use lights and household appliances every day. Therefore, we must ensure our homes are wired properly. At Benny's, we have certified wires with the right gauges and insulation. BEL certified meter sockets, authentic GE and Square D panel boxes and breakers, which protect your electrical system from being overloaded. When wiring your home, avoid imitation brands which can be very dangerous. Give yourself and your family peace of mind using genuine electrical products available at Benny's, celebrating 75 years of quality and savings.
The ministry is collaborating with SpeedNet Communications to have a vaccination campaign for children ages 12 to 17 years. Children who get vaccinated will get a chance to win fabulous prizes, including backpacks with supplies, Nintendo Switch, tablets, book tuitions, and MiFi with 3 months data. Only children 12 to 17 years old can participate in this smart and Ministry of Health and Wellness raffle. At vaccination sites, each vaccinated child, upon being vaccinated, will receive a ticket to place their name, age, date of birth, BHIS number, and contact information on, which will be filled out by a parent or legal guardian. The sooner a person vaccinates, the more chances he or she will have to win. Get vaccinated, please. Vaccination saves lives.
The rapid proliferation of the Omicron variant across the country will undoubtedly affect frontline workers, including police officers who are tasked with keeping law and order amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Throughout last year, dozens of officers were out at various intervals on sick leave as a result of contracting the virus. With the introduction of Omicron, which spreads much faster than Delta, the Belize Police Department is bracing for another round of infections within its ranks.
Officers, we are in fact one of those departments that is engaged on a regular basis with members of the public, and so it is very likely, because of the transmissibility of Omicron, that a lot of our officers will be coming down with the Omicron variant. It's very, very transmissible. And so whenever that does occur, of course, those officers will have to quarantine the 10 days as recommended by the Ministry of Health, so that we don't have a continuation of this spread. And so we will have to make do with the officers who are on active duty, and at the same time be mindful that there are going to be some who will be out suffering with the Omicron variant.
Home Affairs Minister Karim Musa, his wife Carla, and the couple's 11-year-old son contracted COVID-19 during the Christmas holidays. The family was pretty much quarantined for the better part of 14 days. While both parents are fully vaccinated, the minor is at the moment ineligible to receive his shots. When he came down with the illness, he had to suffer through 3 days of high fever before he started to feel better. According to Musa, all indications were that they had been infected with Omicron.
Myself and my wife, we managed fine, a little body aches and fatigue. I slept a lot over the holidays, but my son, who is unvaccinated, he's 11 years old, and so he doesn't qualify for the vaccine as yet. So he had 3 days where he had very high fever,
and so my wife and I had to take care of him over that 3-day period. So I think that was more the concern for us over the holidays, not necessarily what we were going through, but rather how it is affecting children now. I think we have to be very mindful that the Omicron will affect the unvaccinated as well as very young children. I think that's what the science is saying. So I want to urge everyone who has not gotten vaccinated, please do, and especially those who have gotten vaccinated, to go in for your booster as well, because I could say I've had my booster and it certainly helped me, in my opinion, a lot in dealing with this particular variant. I suspect I did, yes. Based on the types of symptoms that I had and that I explained to the doctor, I didn't lose my sense of taste or smell. I didn't have a bad cough or anything like that. It was just body aches and fatigue. They said that more than likely it was the Omicron, and especially the very short period in which I was affected.
The final tally for the number of homicides committed in 2021 is yet to be released by the Belize Police Department. Nonetheless, we asked the Minister of Home Affairs for an unofficial comparison with figures from the previous year. According to Karim Musa, the total number of murders recorded in 2021 stands at 125.
That's a comparison that is oftentimes made, but it's apples and oranges, Isani, because you're looking at 2020, one in which you had a curfew and a complete lockdown of the country because of COVID, and that was for a significant period, and two, you had a 90-day state of emergency. And so there were, I believe, about 20-something more murders in 2021 than 2020. But when you actually compare 2021 to the last 10 years, you will find that it is relatively low compared to those other years, excluding 2020 for the reasons I just cited. And so while it is that 125 is not where we want to be by any means, we certainly look forward to reducing that number this year, 2022, again with initiatives like these. And of course, there has to be a penal aspect. While we are coming from a very good place expressing goodwill, the police department also has to penalize those who step out of line, who don't want to be a part of this program, and who insist on living a life of crime.
This morning at the Department of Youth Services in Belize City, the Leadership Intervention Unit met to chart a way forward for the next 12 months. As we reported a few weeks ago, an initial retreat was held at Camp De Silva in Mountain Pine Ridge, where at-risk youth from at least 2 communities participated in activities meant to engage them in something positive. Building on that momentum, Minister of Home Affairs Karim Musa sat with the LIU team to discuss the forthcoming calendar and how this population of youth can be engaged in meaningful pursuits.
We had a very successful first retreat out to Mountain Pine Ridge that we took 50 guys from different neighborhoods just so that they can get this type of counseling, this type of training in terms of the conflict resolution, and I have to say it was a great success. Of course, we had some hiccups that we are working on to fix in our next retreat, which we're planning more towards the ending of January. And then, of course, there is the work program that is going to continue, but we want to see how we can now diversify the type of work that these young men are doing, and so to get them more in line with what their strengths are. So if they have a particular passion to do construction or to do welding, to give them that type of training that they've never had, and definitely to get them on this very successful path.
Very happy to be meeting, especially this early in the year. As Minister Mr. Kittle alluded to, this is an ongoing effort. In fact, we have seen major improvement in terms of the reduction in violent crimes, and we've seen that there is a willingness on the part of these young men to actually partake in mediation and intervention. We have to insist that these do work. This is a part of the working progress because these young men have been reaching us out to us, and I can tell you that it has come to a point where they're the ones who are calling mediations and we're just facilitating.
One of the most important things that we want to look at
is to continue with the educational aspect of developing these young persons. And one of the things that we're currently doing, Dr. Lerna McKay is charged with working directly with the young men within their neighborhoods to create remedial opportunities in math, English, information technology, as well as graphic designs. We meet with the Taiwanese embassy next week, our counterpart, to start mapping out the graphic designs and information technology component for the young men. In terms of their skills building, the Center for Employment Training that we're opening up at Mile 21, known as the Central Regional Youth Training Institute, will be participating in ensuring that electrical, plumbing, and all these different type of programs are given to the young men.
The Belize Central Prison currently boasts a significantly smaller population than it did only 8 years ago. The facility, which is managed by the Kobe Foundation, houses adult men and women and male youth. But while the general population in Belize has been growing, what has caused the prison population to shrink over the years? News 5's Marian Ali found out that there may be more than one reason for this decline.
The population at the Belize Central Prison up to December 31st, 2021 stood at 1,025. Of that amount, 680 were convicted inmates, while 355 were on remand awaiting trial. 14 were women, 24 juvenile offenders housed at the Wagner's Youth Facility, and the remaining 987 were adult males. But while this number might sound like a lot, it's about 600 fewer than what the average population was 8 years ago, when it stood at 1,623. Virgilio Murillo, the CEO of the Colby Foundation, which manages the facility, told News 5 Today that he feels that this significant reduction is due to the rehabilitation program they have in place.
Whether it's, giving treatment for drug addiction or any form of addiction, we have a program to try and address their gang affiliation, gang involvement, and all those types of stuff. So, I think the rehab efforts has a lot to do with it. Secondly, I will maintain that not making the prison a 5-star hotel for these guys certainly is having its deterrent effect on them, because they're leaving and they don't want to come back.
Another factor that Murillo says could be responsible for the prison not seeing many repeat offenders behind bars is that several of the alleged gang affiliates were killed after they were released back into the community. But while the prison's population is significantly lower now, it might very well increase when the Supreme Court criminal calendar opens less than 2 weeks from now, and more people are tried and sentenced or remanded to await their trial. But Murillo says overcrowding will not be an issue that they will have to contend with, not even in these COVID times.
The capacity of the facility currently stands at 2,100. We are, I think, less than 50% of our capacity. We're enforcing all our COVID-19 regulations, both with our staff and with the inmates and visitors that come to the prison. The prison has, as a part of its COVID-19 protocols, the isolation or the quarantining of these guys on admission for that 10-day period. Once they have not displayed any symptoms, or once they, I would say display any symptoms of COVID, then they are removed after that 10-day period has passed.
Murillo says the consequence on campus for guards who are caught not properly wearing their masks is a 3-day suspension on half pay, and that rule has been effective among the people who interact with the inmates daily. Murillo said that prison authorities have also been successful at confiscating illegal drugs, weapons, and contraband goods before they are used through random searches carried out in the cells. Reporting for News 5, I am Marion Ali.
The last time a prisoner was killed at the Belize Central Prison by a fellow inmate with a handmade weapon was December of 2009. Just ahead, what's behind the ticket quotas being imposed on traffic officers? News 5 goes looking for answers. But first, here's a weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
Taking its name from the venerable father of the nation, the George Price Highway stretches 77 miles from Belize City to Benqueviejo. Originally built in the 1930s, this cross-country highway system is the artery that links Belize to Central America at the western border with Guatemala. That connection facilitates overland trade, supporting Belize's economic development. Winding its way across the scenic countryside, the George Price Highway from Roaring Creek to Esperanza has been fully reconstructed to meet international standards, with particular emphasis on road safety. A shorter and hassle-free commute is best enjoyed when everyone obeys the traffic laws. To reduce the number and frequency of road traffic accidents, it means that a seatbelt must be worn at all times and the speed limit observed when traveling along the highway. It also means that pedestrians must use sidewalks and crosswalks where available. Buses should only board and discharge passengers at a designated bus stop. Road safety is everyone's responsibility. It begins with you.
You inch your way to the edge of the board. Once you leap, there's no turning back. Your heart begins to race. You need to make a decision. Are you in or out? Join us for our brand new series where we dive deep into what it looks like to make God our Lord of all or not at all. God doesn't want just the dip of our toes or a wade in the shallows. He wants all of us. We're in or out.
The ability of COVID-19 diagnostic tests to detect the Omicron variant is critical to tracking its spread and putting in place measures to halt transmission. The SD biosensor rapid antigen test authorized for use in Belize is able to detect COVID-19 variants, including the latest Omicron variant. To ensure that only genuine SD biosensor products are used at the point of contact, strict supply chain protocols such as express air delivery from the manufacturer and proper storage by authorized dealers are monitored and maintained. In Belize, SD biosensor rapid tests are administered by trained professionals and offered by established healthcare providers that abide by strict international standards and ensure that the customers are getting the latest top quality product. With all of us doing our part and using quality, reliable tools like the SD biosensor rapid antigen test, we will beat COVID-19.
Bringing people together has always been SMART's mission and passion. That is why we are proud to have built a locally independent quality network from the ground up that spans the country with over 100 sites. We continue to add more affordable mobile data packages, broadband speeds, and voice services to meet your personal and business needs. SMART has set the standard of true competition with the most competitive prices on all services offered. We invite and welcome you to join the SMART family, where the value for your dollar matters. SMART will continue bringing new technologies, more affordable prices, network expansions, and people together. SMART, bringing people together.
January is often the time when people need to update their driver's license, vehicle license, and insurance. And if you are one of those people where your documents have expired or are about to expire, you better jump on it. That's because traffic wardens and transport officers are being asked to become more vigilant countrywide. A recent memo sent to all senior transport officers and traffic wardens says, quote, senior transport officers are reminded that all traffic wardens under their supervision are required to issue a minimum of 44 traffic violation tickets each month, unquote. The memo goes on to note that failure to comply with this instruction will result in, quote, sanctions for insubordination, unquote. Minister Rodwell Ferguson, responsible for transport, told us via phone that the measure is geared towards deterring traffic violators on the nation's highways, which may also decrease traffic accidents. Additionally, Minister Ferguson asserts that the quota system will make for a more financially sustainable department.
There are some traffic wardens who issue more than 60 tickets per month. So we are saying that if one group can do it, the others can do it likewise. So we are saying then we want a minimum of 2 tickets per day. Once you can justify why you issue that ticket.
Criticism is that the quota situation may not be the most effective approach.
What would be the other approach if it has not been done? And I will also suggest to Cabinet that whatever they bring in over a certain amount, then they should get an incentive beside their pay, a percentage of what they bring in. Because we have to enforce the law to maintain law and order in this country.
Is there any studies done to determine perhaps what percentage of the, I would call them, driving population may be out on our byways and highways driving in violation?
The percentage is very high, but the collection is very minimal. So maybe 6 months ago, the collection rate was maybe at 27% after issue a ticket. Now I think over the last 3 or 4 months, it has jumped to maybe 40% of collection rate. I'm saying if you apply for a particular job or a post, then that post comes with some requirements. And so we are saying then if you apply for the job, then there are certain expectations. And as I said earlier, we need to ask them if you're going to be unjustified. I mean, 2 tickets per day is very, very minimal, Ampara. You understand me? So you must find at least 10 or 15 people per day where they violate the traffic laws. We're asking you to at least provide us with 2. And you will have to use your conscience and say, I can go beyond 2 if I find the violators.
And if you think you can get away without paying your ticket, think again. Minister Ferguson says the Transport Department now has a prosecutor to bring violations before the court. Driving under the influence of alcohol is a criminal offense, and since December of 2021, the Department of Transport has been using breathalyzers on the nation's highway to identify persons drunk driving. But is the Traffic Department using them?
The level is in effect since December. And we had five of our employees who went to Denver, Colorado to do a training. And they come back now and they are trainers, they are not trainers to the others. And they're also assisting the city councils and the town boards to get the understand how to use the breathalyzers. So it's in full effect.
Today is World Braille Day, commemorating the birthday of Louis Braille, a French educator who became blind at a young age and invented a system of reading for the visually impaired. Equipping blind students with the technology to learn Braille is one of the many services provided by the Belize Council for the Visually Impaired, also referred to as the BCVI. This year, the nonprofit organization is hoping to partner with regional and international universities and with the National Resource Center for Inclusive Education, NARCE, in the Ministry of Education. Executive Director of the BCVI, Carla Ayers Musa, explained the goal of this joint effort.
Already have a contact in the US that we're working with, and we're going to look for funding to be able to train teachers within NARCI as well as rehabilitation officers in Belize, because at the moment we don't have anybody in the country who is trained to be a rehabilitation field officer. They have all left, relocated to the US, and we want to be able to bring that safe community-based rehabilitation back into the population. We know that it is a lot of counseling and assurance that goes with our jobs. We have to make patients feel safe. Our staff is fully vaccinated, so when we go into homes, patients have and clients have that reassurance that that's what we're doing. Those children are going to have the longest time living with blindness, so they need to be able to meet all their milestones. They need to be prepared to go into school. So the situation analysis that was done in 2013 showed that NARCI was spread way too thin to be able to handle, in addition to what they were handling, the children who were blind. And so the families would then rely back on BCVI, and that hasn't changed since 2013. But we are hopeful that with the current administration and the current interest, Minister Fonseca's father was the founder of BCVI, so there is, a lot of interest, a lot of history when it comes to the importance and the significance of this program, that we'll be able to move forward with that. So really looking to start a project that will enhance the human resources and allow us to bridge that gap that we've lost because of people moving away, because of a lack of human resources here, and train people to provide the service.
Coincidentally, for the BCVI, this year is also its 40th anniversary. And over those years, the nonprofit organization has been able to provide eyeglasses and eye surgery services because it charges small fees that it recycles to keep the programs going. Up next, you may be trying to protect yourself from Delta or Omicron, but is it possible for you to get both? Dr. Marcelo Coy has the answers when we return.
What is the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine? The Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is an RNA vaccine that triggers our immune system to develop antibodies against the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19. It helps to reduce hospitalization, severity of the disease, and death. What is the Pfizer vaccine made of, and is it safe? The Pfizer vaccine is made up of mRNA messenger ribonucleic acid, which are molecules that carry the genetic information needed to make proteins, lipid, salts, and sugar. It is safe for persons 12 years and older and does not contain the COVID-19 virus, hence cannot cause infection. Tests have shown that the vaccine is effective against current virus variants. Who should take the Pfizer vaccine? The Pfizer vaccine should be taken by persons 12 years of age and older who do not have severe allergic reaction after a previous dose of vaccine or have not had severe allergic reaction to any ingredient of this vaccine. 2 doses of the vaccine are required 3 weeks apart. If you are between the ages of 12 and 17 years, you are required to present a signed consent form before you are vaccinated. What are the side effects of the Pfizer vaccine? Some common side effects of the Pfizer vaccine are headache, fatigue, muscle pain, fever, chills, and swelling at the injection site. If side effects persist, contact your doctor as soon as possible. Does the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine prevent infection and transmission? No, vaccination alone does not prevent infection and transmission. We are still required to continue to wear masks properly, physically distance, wash and sanitize hands often, practice proper coughing and sneezing hygiene, and avoid crowds.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call on-net, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? you get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
As we enter the third year of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of people are wondering how much longer we will need to follow protocols, especially keeping our masks on. In fact, a lot of us are really tired of having to wear these. But as a member of the COVID-19 task force, Dr. Marcelo Coy points out mask wearing matters. But he reminds us that there are other factors at play when it comes to your exposure to COVID-19 and whether or not you will get it or not.
Well, it's not only the mask, okay? It's a whole behavior that prevents the infection. Remember, this thing is in phases. You want to prevent infection. And these are these public health measures that everybody knows about. The masking is just one of them. Whether you'll get it or not depends not only on that, but if you are exposed with the exposure, the viral load, how much of it you're getting and how long you're in contact with this person. It depends on the person's immune system. Yeah. You know, if you have any disease that decreases your immune system, and one of them is not a disease but age, you know, you are at a higher risk. So it's a combination of factors. I don't think you can only say one, but certainly mask has been shown to be effective in preventing infection.
And while he was on Open Your Eyes, Dr. Coy shared something that medical professionals know, but which may be new to the public. You can get a combination of two COVID-19 variants at the same time. He also explained that people's behavior will dictate how the pandemic plays out, both for individuals and the wider community.
Right now, you have a mixture. You can get the Delta and the Omicron at the same time.
Can you?
Of course.
Yes.
So you can't say, well, I'll take off my mask because I want the Omicron. You don't get to choose. You know, so irrespective of the protective effect, you do the same public health measure. And I've said, you know, the course of this pandemic is not affected by how much ICU beds you have, how much respirators you have, because that is the end point of infection. The course of this pandemic will be determined by the behavior of we. And if we continue to have this activity that puts you at risk, getting in groups, not using your mask and what have you, that is what's going to drive the course of this pandemic.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.